World is made possible by grants from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, this station and other public television stations, the Ford Foundation, and the German Marshall Fund of the United States.
Inside Leningrad, there is still a St. Petersburg. Inside the Soviet Union, there is still a Russia. And in the middle of it all, there is us.
We met the woman who wrote those words less than a week after her release from a Siberian prison camp. We took this 8mm film of her in secret. Meeting Yulya Vosnesenskaya for the first time was a strange experience for us because we felt we knew her so well already. We knew Yulya because we had read her diary. Yulya's diary is a unique record of the life of a dissident poet in Russia. This smuggled film is all we can show of the real Yulya, so in the documentary you're about to see, actors and actresses play the parts of Yulya and her friends, because otherwise their story would remain untold. But everything said and done in the film comes straight from the pages of Yulya's diary. The world of Yulya's diary is that of Leningrad's bohemian young painters and poets, the second culture. Yulya dedicated her diary to a poet called Konstantin Kuzminsky, who is the self-crowned king of the second culture. Because he has now left Russia, the real Kuzminsky, not an actor, is free to appear in this film with his fellow exiles. Yulya's diary reached Kuzminsky in Texas, but by then, Yulya herself was in prison camp 27211, Section 1.
Hi. It's me. Konstantin Kuzminsky has gone away. Hello, Konstantin. Since you've been gone, when I first thought of writing my diary for an exile, I knew I would start with these words. Since you've been gone. Since you've been gone, Papa and I have finally got round to developing the photographs of your departure. As I look at the pictures for the first time, I say to myself, for the 1000th time, it was beautiful. Since you've been gone. We saw you and them in the airport. We watched you from the balcony. A glass wall separated us, and you were already far away. I was squealing with joy. I felt like a bird which is being set free. Then, suddenly I thought, what if it's forever? You left your room in a terrible mess, Konstantin. So we tidied up, we washed the windows, swept the corners and cleaned the ceiling you had smoked up with your cigarettes. Some really nice Beatle music was drifting through the window. I was lonely, so I started to dance. In your empty house, I cannot find you anywhere. In your room, there is less of you with every breath. In your house so empty, in your house so empty, in your house so empty. It's so easy to dance. That's all for now. Here is a kiss on the nose for you, my crazy overseas sunshine. And how does Kuzminsky like America?
Hi, Betty. Julia. Here I am in Texas. All of us are here, a piece of Leningrad in the heart of Texas.
Our country is a land of glee. Yulya, за мной.
My wife preparing barbecue Siberian style. And me, Kuzminsky, the Dostoevsky cowboy.
Я другой такой страны не знаю.
Here we are, Yulia, the whole crowd of Russians. And here is Emma, the fifth Mrs. Kuzminsky, poor Russian Cinderella, serving tea to all those sons of the guns. Here is Goom. Here is Ilya Levin, who brought me your diaries, drinking Russian tea in your honor, honey.
Красив, наверное, в форме-то. I was lucky in being able to smuggle Yulia's diaries out to the West. You know, Yulia starts her diary by describing Kuzminsky's departure. And, as you know, it is difficult for many of us to imagine a Petersburg without Kuzminsky. Well, in Russia generally, poets enjoy a very special status and prestige. And Kuzminsky, you know, was a poet par excellence, you know, in Russian context. And Yulia, well, you might safely say Yulia adored him.
A happy, first non-Russian winter to you, KKK. You great, big, smelly, gloomy, hairy thing. You and your collection of poems are our ambassador in the West. I would rather have 50 copies of a poem published here in the Soviet Union than 50,000 overseas. But we may be forced to rely on you over there to preserve our names and our verses.
Look, during the period 1933, 1957, that period, I guess no poets appeared. They had no chance to appear. They were executed before they started to write their first line. Since 1953, there appeared at least 3 generations of poets. I collected about 150 names. Those poets were not published at all, though they tried to. They do not glorify their communistic ideology. They don't follow their political propaganda. They just write about good things, about booze and women, about flowering bushes, and about floating clouds, wherever. Well, how can it help to construct communism? It cannot. So they're not published. They're not promoted. In every poem of my friends for the past 5, 10 years, the sadness, the grief, the bitterness is increasing because it's unbearable there. Unbearable. And who else, who better can feel it than a poet? You understand me? Who better?
Now, here is a very little poem for you, Kostya. After you have seen him and done with crying, then be good enough to remind him of me. Tell him I said to say hello. And something else I asked you to say. I may be in exile here in Russia, but what would I be over there?
So, there are only 2 kinds of arts in Soviet Union, official and unofficial. Whenever I lecture about official and unofficial poetry, I just give the samples of official and unofficial visual art, because it's just the same.
Official is well paid, but has to deal with political slogans, red banners, images of the great leader, Vladimir Lenin. You have to paint this kind of stuff, like the great crowds glorifying communism. Official, happy Soviet family. This is an optimistic painting, Henry Kissinger style. Appreciated. Optimistic Soviet collective farm celebrating the great harvest. That's why now we are buying rye and wheat from you, Americans. This kind of stuff is highly appreciated. And the style of Stalinist paintings did not disappear at all. It is continued till now. Listen to this poet.
Не выжмешь ничего, то ли как младенчика заспал, то ли потому, что никого. Разве ты, моя плетисточка, сумей, пальчиком по дырочкам станцуй, что-нибудь такое понежней, и, пожалуй, мне особенно к концу, кроме музыки, мне нечего уметь. Хоть и простенькая мелодия моя, но умел ее я выводить. Слез не пряча и глаз голову не тая, брал меня Господь и подносил к губам. В раны мои вкладывал персты и наигрывал. Я с вас дам, я с вас дам. Эту музыку с Божьим. Эту музыку с Божьим листа.
He was glorifying poetry and the Lord, and it's illegal. What kind of poetry the most powerful poet will say? It is the prayer of Peter Brandt.
Помолись за меня, помолись за меня, помолись, помолись, помолись за меня, помолись за меня, помолись за меня, помолись, помолись, помолись. Апрель, блуд, колокольная высь, и кони пущены в рысь. Помолись за меня, помолись за меня, помолись, помолись, помолись. Знаком тебе топот этих копыт, знаком ли походка коня? Помолись за меня, помолись за меня, помолись, помолись за меня. Мой первый грех в том, что я рожден и рожден.
All of them are prohibited in Soviet Union, since they do not want to prostitute themselves, since they don't want to sell their beautiful souls to the state, to glorify ideas of Lenin, Marx, and Stalin.
Помолись, да родится молитва в огне, да коснется молитва небес.
He says, oh, pray for me. I pray for them.
Let's raise the quality of police informers.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, everybody.
You just never know, and Yulia did not, who of her friends, or so-called friends, might inform on her to the KGB. It might be a brother, it might be a lover, and you do not know. Just do not.
Say that, but you really should be more careful. There have been some pretty suspicious people hanging around you lately.
Like who? Wait a minute. Turn up the thing. And you take care of the telephone.
Опасаясь контрразведки, избегая жизни светской, под английским псевдонимом мистер Джон.
We all knew that Yulia's apartment was bugged by the KGB. We had to resort to various protective means, as for instance, not talking, but writing on the magic slates.
And that's how we live, Kostеньka. That's how we live here, darling.
The whole purpose of the second culture movement its reason of existence, was to live and create as if the KGB, as if the Soviet repressive apparatus simply did not exist.
October 14th. Today I will write to you about our literary affairs. We are putting together a collection of poetry. We are calling it Leopt. This, of course, gives my co-editors, Piotr, Gena, and Victor, a chance to be difficult. As long as they keep on writing their beautiful verses, my motherly instinct makes me forgive them their pettiness and only scold them sometimes. What about rain? What about rain? Is he a poet or a scribbler?
He is a windbag.
He's a dilettante.
He's a graphomaniac.
How about Schneiderman? I suppose you don't understand him either.
No, I don't, Yulia.
I can. Nobody can.
I am going to fight for the right of Schneiderman to take part in Leopt, and I will stand up for Hapkin, even if he is an idiot.
You call a Hapkin a writer?
No, she calls him an idiot.
You're just a bunch of Philistines, and you behave as an underground version of the Union of Soviet Writers. October 20th. Greetings, Kostinka. From Yulia the bird. I'm tired. From 12 to 7, I'm at my stupid job. Then I have to stand in line for 2 hours to do the shopping. Oh, good evening.
Oh, Yulia.
A woman without children or a home is not a woman, but you cannot have a family and do creative work.
Julie, listen.